As it's time to begin the most exciting meeting of the day, and Kelly Goff is here in presence. This is Bertie Flynn, Chairman of the Public Works Committee, joined by Sheila Vaquero and Brian Travis. Calling to order, an announcement, the borough will be collecting canned goods to benefit the Westchester Food Cupboard at Borough Hall during business hours. Please stop by to contribute. More information can be found on the borough website. Item number 2 for comments, suggestions, petitions by residents, taxpayers, and visitors in attendance regarding items that are not on the agenda. Please be advised that there's a 5-minute time limit. Do we have anyone that wants to share anything? Come on down. State your name, address, and what you want to talk about.
Hello, Laurie Waddy, 301 West Bernard. Yeah, I have, as a private citizen, unlike my prior comments, I am a bit perplexed as to the irregularity of street cleaning and leaf collections. I regularly call Public Works if they don't show up, although not every time, but I would say between 1 and 2 times per month, my street is not cleaned. And as a conscientious citizen, I try to keep my end of the bargain. I keep the sidewalk in good working order. I have a brick sidewalk. It is without bumps or cracks. And I try to keep things clean and nice for the neighborhood. So I would just appreciate hearing why this is happening. I think the staff, they obviously are just staff and don't have control often. I do get reasons being the trucks are in repair shop often. And I'm wondering, has this been brought to your attention? I would imagine it has. And if so, what is your plan to address this issue? Thank you.
You will take that under advisement.
Thank you.
Bernie, I got a comment. Yeah, I've actually noticed that as well. I don't think it's just on West Barnard Street. I know at least twice in the last month, street cleaning on one side of South Walnut where the other has also not been cleaned. Even though I put all my leaves out there, they're still out there. So I do think that there's something to look into here. Maybe Mr. Anderson, if you don't mind making a comment or two, just to help us understand why it's been so inconsistent recently.
Don Anderson, Interim Director of the Public Works Department. We have had recently a bunch of damages or injuries. I'm thinking about football last night, right? To our street sweeper. So it's been down. And I apologize for, not getting out there. But as soon as we get things up and rolling, we try to get back and get to the places that we missed the week prior. And sometimes it's hard because it's busy out there for these guys. So again, we're working on it. When machinery's down, there's not a lot we can do. We do have 2 sweepers and both of them been having issues. One's way outdated and the other one just is one of them new model things that seems like it's, just seems like it has a lot of problems as well. So we'll work on it, trying to get it done. So,
Okay. It sounds like we might need a more permanent solution at some point, but yeah, for now, just, I mean, maybe, I don't know if there's a way to communicate out to residents that, when something's down like this. And
I don't know if we still do it, but a lot of times when the sweeper goes down, we'll put it on our webpage saying that our sweeper's down. Most residents aren't going to look at the webpage, but at the same time, we get it out there and let them know that I don't know if we can actually send out like a robocall to everyone and say, hey, we may not get to you because our sweeper's down. Or just keep putting it on the webpage when we can. So I don't know really how to handle that.
At that point, and you know how fastidious I am about my street.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Waddy, what I do, I get one of them brown bags and I go out and pick up my own trash. But that's me because I don't want it sitting in front of my house. The leaves are still sitting there. But what would be great for the work session next week, have a timeline on when the sweepers will be repaired and up and running again. Because we should be started jumping into leaf collection as well. So that may suck up a lot of trash and dirt that are caught into the leaves as well.
Correct.
So tomorrow is the 12th, and that's when the leaf collection is supposed to be in the sweetest ward in the borough. So we'll see if the trash collection the
Leaf collection.
leaf guy shows up.
We've already started leaf collection. We've been out there so far for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're getting it done. I mean, but when our equipment's down, it's not a whole lot we can do.
You're absolutely right.
So try
Well,
to
this
catch.
way here, you get an audience and a
Mhm.
megaphone
Mhm.
at the work session to
Mhm.
be able to tell everybody what's going on with the machines
Mhm.
and when they'll be up, when anticipated, they'll be up and running to get back into the street sweep again after the leaves get picked up.
Fair enough. Okay.
And that street sweeper we have, one of them is pretty damn temperamental, that doesn't like cold weather. And the water freezes in the line.
Yeah.
That was a mistake on my part. I'll
Oh.
take the hit on that when we bought the
Okay.
street sweeper.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we would have put a electric heat wrap around that pipe to keep the water from freezing. But, I'm not a mechanic, so
I wasn't going to say it, but now that you mentioned it, that sweeper, oh my God.
that's a mistake.
Yeah. I think this week is the last week we'll be able to use it.
Yeah.
It goes in storage every year down at Taylor Run
Yeah.
because it can't sweep in this type of temperature weather.
So you guys know what happens. We bought a street sweeper that was not designed for cold weather. And I was on the committee and no one ever thought that the water in the street sweeper has to come out when it's below freezing,
Mhm.
right? And this pipe freezes
Mhm.
and it cracks and water, and the street sweeper can't be used. So we're hoping sometime in the future to replace it with a really good, street sweeper.
Yeah, and the other sweeper that we have is probably about 20 years old.
Mhm.
So, it's used, its lifespan is just about at the end of it.
It's like me.
Yeah, no, don't say
Thank you very much, sir.
Don't say that.
All right.
Bernie, can I say one
Yes,
thing
William.
to you and Don? We can't, Ready Chesker, we can't do robocalls. That's for emergency calls only. However, if you know they're not going to hit a street or an area, you can send that to us and we can send out a targeted message with Ready Chesco to people who sign up like we do for the council meetings. So you may have interested people who we can easily send text messages to a geographic group or to a couple blocks only. So that might be something to do to try to communicate a little better.
That would-
Yes, sir.
We got some good answers to that, Ms. Waddy.
Yeah, that was very good. Mr. Flynn, just to address your suggestion that I get out there with my own bags. First of all, I do that on occasion. I have a very big yard. Also, I have one of the oldest trees in Westchester. It's a Japanese Zarkova. Most of my neighbors would like me to keep it. It requires me to spend a lot of money on it every year. I spend money to trim it, to try to get the branches down, etc. But it really lets leaves. I mean, I spent just today 2 hours just blowing my leaves to the street to get it ready for tomorrow. So I'm hoping you're coming tomorrow. But, I just think, in all fairness to the residents, we do pay taxes to have this service. And a lot of us do try to do our part to contribute to the cleanliness of the borough. So thank you again.
Welcome. Thanks for stopping in. We appreciate it. We do, because we rarely get anyone that stops in and has a conversation with us. A civil conversation. We get people who come in here that aren't civil, but thanks for your comments. All right, thank you. All right. Engineers report.
Hi, Council. This is Kelly Goff from RVE. For the record, I will report on a couple things tonight. Under the Gay Street closure project, we are reviewing the submittals as they come in, and the new projected timeline I received today is that the bollard should arrive in March, which will give the contractor time to substantially completed before the contract deadline of May 31st. Under the MS4 permit services, we received all the public comments in September, so I'm reviewing those comments with the borough staff. and adjusting the report accordingly. And then also we'll be starting our outfall inspections soon. The outfall inspections are, you go and inspect an outfall where the water discharges into a waterway and you see if there's any dry weather flow. So if there's any flow coming out when it hasn't rained recently. And then the next thing I'll report on is we reviewed the intersection of East Gay and High Street. There is a lot of deteriorated pavers there and rutting. So we drafted a memo with various options of remediation efforts for that intersection and sent that over to borough staff to review it all. The remediation efforts range in price depending on the type of product you pick. If it's just asphalt, then it's obviously the least expensive. But if you had all brick pavers, that would be the most expensive. Under Chestnut and New, this intersection was brought up during the last meeting I was here. We did look into getting a study done if the borough wanted to pursue putting additional striping and signage. A study would be required by PennDOT. Another option that we're looking into is just the maintenance of the intersection. If there's already current improvements there, such as a crosswalk, PennDOT might just allow the borough to just go in and maintain that existing crosswalk. So we're in coordination with the Public Works and PennDOT in order to get that intersection improved. And that concludes my report, unless you guys have any questions.
I don't think so. There were just some other pictures below the.
Yep, so that's the, that top one is just a schematic of the bollards that are going to be installed along Gay Street.
Yep.
And then the next one, that is, sorry, I wasn't in the mic. That's just a photo of a bump out BMP that you have here in the borough, just to show an example of one of the bump out BMPs that are proposed in the pollution reduction plan that the borough has for their MS4 permit. And that's just a picture of the Gay and High Street crosswalk. You can see it's rutting, which means it's basically waving along. You can see the puddles or the depressions, and then which is basically aligned with the wheel path. And then right next to it, the pavers are upheaved. So that is most likely the result of poor quality subbase. So the materials underneath the brick pavers either don't have a good drainage system, it's not thick enough, or just the material overall was not of good quality.
Kelly, a couple things. The ballards.
Yes.
Can we get a prototype of a ballard so that the contractor can figure out how to put it together and install it before getting all the materials in March? The reason why I'm asking that, I don't want them sitting on YouTube trying to figure out how to build this ballard system, because you said that they really don't have a U.S. presence.
Well, they don't make the product in the U.S., but they do have representatives in the U.S. that can help with advising on the installation and then inspection following the installation.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in there. Do not bring us a prototype and have them figure out how to install that way. No.
What?
No, because the prototype is not a real thing, and it does not work like a prototype is a prototype. It's an idea. But do not use a prototype.
He builds prototypes, by the way. So that's a don't bring a prototype in if the prototype persons don't do it. So, yeah. Anyway, that was
For that
my idea.
purpose.
Try to put it together before, one of them, so we know how it works. The other thing is, I am very much in favor of trying to marry this project together. We'd hate to tear the street up again after we put the ballards in and do the worst crosswalks when we're doing it.
Okay.
Hopefully we have the funding to do it and you have the engineering to do it. And also a very big proponent of the asphalt, stamped asphalt. because that's been in place now for over a year and a half at the crosswalk at the county courthouse.
Okay.
And there are no cracks, there are no divots, nothing happening to it. The only problem with doing it when we paint it or stain it is wear.
Mhm.
Public Works is every 4 or 5 years going to have to go out, power wash, close it down the area, and then reinstall a new coating.
Yeah,
Over
exactly.
time.
The color would need to
Yeah,
be
colors
maintained
are gonna
regularly.
fade and it's going to wear. So,
That's correct.
yeah, so that was my 2 cents on that.
Okay, thank you.
And I did see you on your hands and knees measuring the other day. I thought, what in the heck is Kelly? I actually looked to make sure that you didn't trip and fall
Well,
because our pavements are unsafe.
You
in
should have
this
came and-
district,
said
I-
hello.
And I saw you had a level.
Yes.
I figured you were safe.
So PennDOT guidelines require whenever you're making improvements to the roadway, you also have to assess the ADA facilities that are in the immediate vicinity to see if they are compliant, and if they aren't compliant, or if they're, in this case, some of the ramps were compliant. Some of the other ramps did not have adequate slope, but due to existing site features, you cannot make it an adequate slope unless you moved a building. So, long story short, if you were able to make them compliant and you were redoing that road, PennDOT would make you redo the ramps as well at the same time as that project.
I was just concerned that you were on the ground and I wasn't sure whether you were safe or not.
I was okay. Thank
That's
you,
why I
though.
pulled over. So, but you were, you had a level. Thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Public Works. Oh, any public comment? Come on up, state your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. Jerry Stepaniak, 120 East Virginia. I realize you haven't defined how you're going to redo this. Do you have any kind of broad timeline for the reconstruction of the intersections? As I've been out talking to people, that's the one thing people have been asking me about. So as soon as you have one, I'd appreciate it.
So, Mr. Metric and Danny, can you add that to the agenda next week, or for PE, for a timeline for where the funding and stuff like that for doing the crosswalks? Because we have been talking about it. We just didn't know what materials we were going to use. So, thank you. All right, Public Works. Mr. Anderson, good to see you.
Let's try to do this again. Here's what we had. I put together a little mission statement for Public Works. Let me start by saying I just took over as the interim director 4 weeks ago, so I still got a lot to learn, but with help from Sean and everyone else, seems like things are really going well. Sean, thank you so much. Would help the budget. I don't know what I would have done without you. I've never actually balanced a budget like that before or worked with one. So anyway, we're going to start with the mission statement. Whenever you get a chance, just read it. I kind of look at the last sentence, which means a lot to me. And basically, it just basically says that we keep thriving, and so that we make sure that this community is doing well, even later on in years when we're no longer part of what we're doing right now for our kids and our kids' kids, things like that. Borough is a great place, so it means a lot to me. Anyway, we'll start with the Westchester Library. The architectural team, architectural context, looked at the infiltration problem with the library, which is the water. They're having problems with a whole bunch of flooding down in the basement area. He put together a little report. Bill, if you could pull that up and go to 4 for me, please. And these were his basic recommendations. A little bit, go down a little bit more, Bill. The other way, go to 4. Yeah. Basically, he put together some recommendations for what we can do right now to basically solve the problem. And we've already done it as far as getting rid of the grout and the stuff that's around the joints around the side of the padding up there. And just the other day, which was Sunday into Monday, we had a nice rainfall come through there. And everything that we did, nothing got wet down inside the library. So what I'm hoping is we may have solved the problem just for a temporary fix. And that's kind of what this recommendation was all about. Of course, at some point in time, the whole pad is going to need to come up and be replaced. But it saves us money on what we originally thought was going to be a $100,000 item for the budget. I think we may be okay with maybe about $8,000 to get it where it needs to be. So again, no water inside the library. They're happy, we're happy, and hopefully it stays that way. Any questions on that? Okay. Streets, I don't got to talk about that. Kelly already spoke about that. Leaf collection has begun. I spoke about that a little bit earlier. We're into our third week. We're trying to keep up. We also have right now, one of our leaf backs are down. Yeah, the clutch slipped on it. So we're in the process of trying to adjust the clutch so that we can get that back out there. Also, our number one big machine that's operated with one person is actually out of commission right now also. It's throwing some kind of code. So we have the guy coming out tomorrow. Hopefully, he'll be able to get that back up and running in no time. These are things that happen, and it's not much we can do about it except for try to get it back up and running so that we can get back out there. Okay. Sanitary storm sewers. Bill, if you could pull up that attachment for me, please. This was a sinkhole that we found on West Minor Street, right off of New Street. If you can slide down a little bit, Bill. Go to the next slide. Yeah, I know. Our guys got out there. First, we got out there, we cambered the line to see where what the problem was. And we found out that it was a broken terracotta pipe. So what you see right here is a bunch of the men out there trying to repair this pipe, which they actually did. Slide down a little bit more, Bill. Just another picture of how we put this pipe back together. And then you can actually see where we blacktopped it. And Bernie's house is right down the street there, by the way. So we had to get that taken care of. I know you probably saw it. All right. Trash and recycling, chapter 62. Aaron and myself have been going back and forth discussing this whole chapter 62 thing. Based on Aaron's knowledge of notice of violations and things like that, Aaron said that he was going to put together a letter for us. He did put the letter together for us today. So now that we can actually use that to give to some of these residents that are in violation. We went out and checked the whole borough, and it looks like we have roughly anywhere from 40 to 50 people that are in violation of chapter 62, these totes and dumpsters and stuff like that. So Aaron and I are keep on corresponding back and forth. I'll start getting some letters out, and hopefully we can start cleaning up this mess, because it is a mess. It really is. So, all right. What else I have here on my list? All right, line 01-43720-80, vehicle repairs. This line item is definitely going to go over budget. And the reason why, one of the reasons I should say, is some of the older equipment that we have. And then we also have a mechanic that's been out injured. So some of the work that we normally would do in-house, we actually have to outsource. So I look back at the numbers from the last 2 years. I think 2024, I think we had a budget of 195,000. 2025 was 200,000, I think it was, or 220. So we're just going to maybe have to make some adjustments to make sure we're okay next year. Okay. And then now on to cartograph. Bill, if you could pull up them reports for cartograph, please. Down to third one. There you go. These are some of the task items that we had come into last month through cartograph. We've been working with Nick Fink. Nick Fink's been showing us a bunch of stuff. It's actually getting to the point now that not only are we handling tasks, we're actually doing work orders and stuff like that, which we originally didn't know exactly how to do it. So Nick's been helping us out immensely. And we're just going to keep on using cartograph to the point that Nick's going to either get tired of us or we're going to get tired of it. But no, Nick's really helping us with that. Can you scroll down a little bit more, Bill? Can you go back up for a second? We're actually able to do these tasks and stuff like that for certain time periods, which is great. So every month I'll be able to produce a report that shows basically from November 1 to December 1 this is exactly what we did within Public Works Department. So we're getting better at it. That's good, Bill. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is on the administration end. We're getting to the end of this year and we have a bunch of contracts that are due to be renewed. I've been working with the people with Penn Bid and they've been helping me go through the process. So we're probably going to have roughly about 8 contracts that need to be done by the end of this year. And I'm learning the process, by the way. So I guess that's really it. I think that's all I have. Any questions?
Will we see those in December? Okay,
Yes.
thanks for the heads up.
Yep.
Mr. Carrot?
I have one thing that I just need to bring to your attention.
Bring it on,
You
please.
do an amazing job, but the box for the dog bags at Kathy McBratney Park
Empty?
is missing.
Okay.
So please fix that.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Yes, sir. Okay. Danella. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What process did we have? Stop. Stop. Still signed and increased starting. Didn't say they were shutting down the street, but they put up the street, they licensed the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was out there today. I spoke with them. It seemed like there was a little bit of a miscommunication with that because normally what we do, we have whatever contractor that goes out there, they have to notify all the businesses. They send us a letter showing exactly what they're going to do, and then they have to notify the businesses. And then we'll also contact Bid to make John and Ryan aware of what's going on. But the ball was dropped today because I saw them out there and I didn't know they were going to be there. So I came around the block, pulled the opposite way down J Street from Darlington and got out the truck. And I said, what are you guys doing? And they were like, well, we had this conversation and
I like that. We had
Yeah.
a conversation.
yeah,
I'm not putting you on the spot, but
no.
it makes us look bad,
Mhm.
not you, but it
Mhm.
makes the borough look bad.
Mhm.
And one way to get somebody's attention is Mr. Aaron Flucko shut them down.
Got you. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
People
I
don't
get it.
want to respect you. We have the hammer. He
Mhm.
sits in the right-hand corner up front.
Got you.
And he has every legal right to do whatever because we own that road now.
Yep, I
It's not
agree.
a PennDOT road, and people just disrespect us all the time.
Yeah, well,
And it's upsetting.
I don't know exactly the whole process, but there's this system that we could enter with PICO, PennDOT, and all these major people that cause bunch of stuff to our roads. We can enter into that system and they can give us what roads they plan on doing in the years to come. And then we can work together so we don't get into the situation that every year the same roads getting tore up, either by Aqua or PICO. We need to figure out a way to get ourselves into the system. I'm gonna figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Last thing, near and dear to Mr. Travis's heart.
Chapter
You said
62.
we've notified, we have figured out we got 40 violators of the 62 ordinance.
Mhm.
And we got a nice letter that was penned. How are we going to make sure it gets in the landlords or the homeowners' houses as quickly as possible? So another 30 days doesn't go by. We have to give them, I think we got to give them 30 days to fix it or something like that.
Aaron, you want to
So, Mr. Flood, good to see you. Here's the hammer.
This is the reason I was here today is specifically for this. Don and I have sat down and gone over a number of things, and we have actually already been out starting to enforce this beforehand. And it was kind of cumbersome for us in code enforcement, and we actually have the ability to actually take people to court and so forth, which Public Works does not. So what we've come up with an idea of is as we go out, we are recording. Part of what we are required to for court is to show that we've given notice, that we've given them ample time to correct it, which can be anywhere from 15 to 45 days, and that we have given them an abatement date to have it done by. And if it's ignored by the abatement date, then we can move forward with it. As part of that, one of the things that we were talking and discussing about and the way the process is developed is for us to go out and start ticketing with a sticker on the actual individual canisters, the trash containers. And the idea behind that is both Public Works and us will be out there looking at these. We'll see those stickers on those. Those stickers actually have the rules from chapter 62 on them, saying they have to be 20 feet away from, if they're stored in the back, they're 20 feet or a screen or all the requirements that are on that, that you can't have, you can have 2 containers with up to 4 blue bags that can be purchased at the borough offices, all that stuff on it so that we can just put it onto the lid or body of the container. And that way it stays with them so they can't say that they didn't know that. And as part of that, we would also give a warning ticket the first time. And then the second time, then it's a straight notice of violation with a 15-day. And we have written up a notice of violation for Dawn because the ordinance actually states that it's supposed to come from the director of Public Works. So we've written that up so that he can just fill it out, get it out to him. We're notified of it. We put it, it's all going into SmartGov. And we'll work with him on understanding how to enter it into SmartGov so that he can let it notify us, say, hey, it's over their 15 days. We then go out and cite them for it, and then we go straight to court. So we have put a process in place between our 2 departments to be able to work together to try to get this moving forward at a faster pace and in a consistent manner.
Yeah, just a couple comments. First of all, thank you, because Bernie and I kind of you were involved in this, weren't you?
I was.
So we had a subcommittee. We started about this time last year. We did a lot of research, took pictures. Mr. Metric went around with us. We walked around the borough. And I think I'd heard you say you had about 45, somewhere around there, 40, 45 noticeable violations of Chapter 62 as it was rewritten. One of the big questions I had is whether or not it was an enforceable ordinance, because at the time we were kind of going through a situation with our previous building and housing director, and she might not have been here. So we were flying a little bit blind from that perspective. But one of the things that I had a question about is just whether or not we put something together that was even an enforceable ordinance, rules that could actually be, followed and enforced. But it seems like from what you're saying, we did do that and it's working. It seems to be working.
You did create an enforceable. It is enforceable, but you've also created a necessity for 2 departments in the borough to stop being a silo and start collaborating. So you actually inadvertently did 2 good things.
And that was by design. That was intentional. Yes, it was. And I think it was intentional before, but I think it became more intentional and necessary. So, the more eyes on this, the better. I mean, we don't want the borough to look like a big trash can. And honestly, the alleys are streets. We keep saying this. Most of us access our houses through the alleys where we have alleys. That's our front door. And to see just horrendous piles of trash cans all over the place, people basically not taking care of the community. It feels like Bernie said, feels like we have disrespect all over the place and complacency and complicity. And so the more and more we start to send these messages initially with the warnings and notifications of this is the rule and follow that, that's awesome. But eventually we're going to have to start looking at the fining aspect of this too, as part of 62, because the fines there's no bite there. It's not enough to actually shape behavior. So getting the system and process first, I think is the right thing to do. But then I think we're going to have to take another look at this and say, this is like somebody's beer money for the weekend. Is that really going to change or curb behavior long term? The answer is probably no.
Looking at it over the last month, specifically, I would say that the fines are probably lower than they should be, and it should probably not be as specific as it is in the ordinance, because it would allow us a little bit more room. Ideally, when we are trying to enforce something, we want to enforce it through education first, because generally speaking, that's more of a sustainable long-term route. If we are going out there to enforce, from the very first moment we go there, we have to start building a case. So that in 45 days, if we have to go to court, that we have everything followed through. We have all the requirements showing the proof that's needed of a continuing, disrespect or ignoring of the process. And in those cases, you will see that we have increased by about 30% our closing rate of getting convictions on those. And in the long run, that increased convictions will turn into more compliance, simply because at that point, once you get to that conviction, we can then now fine them every day until that is completed. So those convictions that may only be a $500 conviction can turn into one circumstance that I did in the previous location, turned into $23,000 fine and $3,000 worth of repairs that they had to make. So at that point, a lot of people in the neighborhood started taking care of things. So that's an outrageous example of it, but it is a way that we can go through. That's the worst scenario that we'd like to go. We'd like to get everything taken care of just by saying, hey, can we fix this up and educate you on what needs to be done?
I mean, we just want people to comply. We're not really wanting to punish, but we do want them to feel like they're gonna feel a pinch if they don't comply. So I appreciate that. It was a good story. You guys have any questions?
I just want to share that I walk the alleys a lot, and I saw a lot of stickers on various container types, and some of them were very appropriate. And I also had multiple constituents reach out to me trying to figure out what they were supposed to do. One of them said that their cans weren't tagged and they only had a letter on their door. And I just tried to walk them through that as best as possible. I think it was all fine. And I'm like, I don't know what was supposed to happen there. But I think in the end, it was fine. So I think you guys are doing a really good job of communicating with people for the most part. Maybe a neighbor took that sticker off the can. I don't know. I made a bunch of excuses as to possible avenues that happened. But I think we're doing a good job. I think this has been a really good start. I think we put a ton of work into that. And I think that you guys are following through in a really beautiful, keep doing that. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Anderson, per the ordinance, it says that every outside hauler has to register with the Director of Public Works. That's the law, okay? So what we should probably do as a thought is start, there aren't too many of them. You got Belinsky, you got Republic, and you got whatever the blue one is. Maybe include them in, they're supposed to register with you guys.
Okay.
And send them a copy of the ordinance and the addresses that you see. Like when you go out to my house and I got 6 cans and I use Belinsky, okay? You send Belinsky a letter saying at 313 West Minor Street, they're in violation of the new ordinance that's in the borough. Send a copy of the ordinance and they have to reduce my 6 cans down to 4 cans. There's nothing special, just use the same thing. That way there, because the landlords, I'm going to tell you, John O'Connell, you've met John O'Connell, he's come to our meetings because he didn't want the bid to get larger. He has like 60 buildings.
Oh, wow.
He's not, every building that's tan and burgundy is John O'Connell's. He's not going to his trash cans.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you, his maintenance guys aren't looking at the trash cans. But if we send John O'Connell a letter and his hauler, that way they can't say, like my brother used to say, well, Bernie did it, and I used to get beat over it and he got away with it. But, it's a thought that there's only 4 or 5 haulers.
Yep,
So,
correct.
and they're supposed to register with you anyway.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
all right,
Yes, yes.
thank you.
I think we're moving in the right direction.
Oh, yeah,
Again,
yeah.
Aaron and myself, we've met at least 3-4 times to discuss this, and we're gonna keep on talking about it because,
Talking
yeah,
trash.
we're gonna
Yeah.
get, keep talking trash. There you
Sorry, Lisa.
go.
That's a father joke. Father jokes aren't good. All
That's
right.
it. If you guys
Yeah.
don't have anything else
No,
for me. that's
Thank
it?
you.
All right.
Anything from the public?
All right.
Anything from our residents? Thank you.
Lisa Kearns, West Biddle Street. I just want to amplify something Aaron said. I think education is going to be so important on this. I think, a lot of the big guys, they know what the rules are, but so many of our individual residents, the elderly woman behind, they don't know they're not doing it correctly. They don't know exactly where that can's supposed to be. So I'd really hate for them to, for us to really slap them really hard. I'm wondering if there's, until we have to, I'm just wondering if there's some way we can really start with an active education campaign for these folks before we really start, hitting them with the hammer.
Ms. Kearns, to your point, if they get is it orange? A sticker?
It has been in the
Okay, if
past.
they get an orange sticker, they're going to call somebody. And the education starts then, because that's not a punishment. That's just a notification that we have an issue at your house.
Right.
Give us a call. And they're going to call because especially if they're.
Yeah, they'll be
elderly.
afraid of
Yeah,
probably,
elderly,
so,
you
yeah.
know, we
It freaks
seem
them
to
out.
panic. Yeah, on
So that's kind of
Yeah.
how we're planning to do that, is through those orange tags. So be interesting to see.
Also,
Go for it.
on that sticker violation, it actually tells you exactly what the violation is. We're not finding anyone. We're just trying to make people aware of what the situation is. And if they continue, then the possibility of fines come into play. But this is just to make them aware. Hey, your trash can is, you got 10 trash cans. You can't have 10 trash cans. And it's listed right on the orange sticker. And it's visible. It's so bright that there's no way they can say they can't see it. So we're trying to educate. We don't want to get to the point that we're just hammering people. But if we educate them and if they don't follow the rules, then we're going to have to do, basically what we have to do. So,
Yeah.
okay.
And I haven't seen one of those stickers in a while, but, and does it get down to the level of like, you don't have a lid on your trash can?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because again, I think a lot of that, and the lids, we all know, blow away and, they can't go chasing them down the street, so. Okay,
Speaking of
thank-
blowing away, your leaves may not be where they are tomorrow. Is that it?
See, and now you're turning into one of our favorite people. You got to come back every month now to visit with us. Wastewater, Mr. Mitchell?
Good evening, Sean Mitchell, wastewater director. For Goose Creek, the crews found the microscreen headworks building not working. It ended up being a level transducer and a control panel. While they were at it, they replaced rotting conduits and new wire in its place. It's now back online. During October, all the clarifiers, mixers, blowers, pumps, check valves, compressors had their fall oil changes and lubrications performed. We did 2 tours for Westchester University science classes, approximately 12 students in the first and 20 in the second. Crews from Goose Creek flushed out and cleaned the McGovern offloading pipe and area just to make it look better and neater. They also had the DEP annual inspection performed, and there was no issues found at the plant. Goose Creek flowed an average of 895,000 gallons per day. At Taylor Run, they tore down their soda ash system, cleaned it with muriatic acid, repaired some pipes, replaced some pipes, inspected all the pumps and everything before reinstalling them. They had numerous tree branches down and hanging from the big winds in the last month or two, so they trimmed those back for personnel safety and ease of grass cutting. They had a operator trainee position actually open up middle of last month, and it has been filled, and our new employee started yesterday. Taylor Run average flow of 701,000 gallons per day. We'd like to thank Bill Mann for educating all of the wastewater department on cybersecurity training last month. The pump stations, all the normal cleaning and inspections were performed. On 10/16, 2 employees were checking the fuel levels at a pump station. When they pulled up to College Avenue, they found the wet well starting to overflow. They quickly investigated it, turned the pumps on, lowered the level. DEP was notified. There was a small spill in the driveway grassy area that was cleaned up by the employees. And upon further inspection, in the wet well, it was found a large amount of like dental floss or something was wrapped around all the floats, causing the floats not to move, to kick the pumps on, or to cause the alarms to go off. So that was all cleaned off. Everything's back to normal. It was monitored for a while to see if we could find where it came from. We have no clue. Capital projects. Maple Alley project, the connection management plan and resolution is on the agenda tonight to be approved. Panoni and I are working with the utility companies and a few residents on a few last minor issues, trying to finalize the design portion of the project. The tentative schedule is as follows: construction bid in February, bids due in March, award in April, notice to proceed in May, and construction June through August. That's with a 30-day materials timetable. The Goose Creek Electrical Substation, bids are out. The bids will be opened on the 21st of this month. They should be at the next meeting for approval. The low voltage switchgear is supposed to be shipped this month. We have a feeling that it might be pushed back, but it will not be later than the February timeline. The transformer will be shipped on December 12th. And we had a pre-construction bid meeting with 4 bidders that showed up at the plant on November 4th. Again, BCM Atlas Engineers will be recommending a bidder in December's meeting. Davis Oil Property, Christine McCarthy from the DEP actually reached out to us to let us know that the grassy area along East Bernard Street was cleared and the contractors will begin installing the transformer vault at 535 East Union Street. They attached a photo of it. The vault on the Davis property, 614 East Bernard, has been installed, and they will provide us an update when the electrical hookups are complete. So that is moving along. Questions? Any
Questions? The buildings along South High Street, mainly the sandwich shop that was, I don't even know if he's interested in putting the sandwich shop in there. He couldn't connect because the EUs from the DEP.
I
Has that
have
all been lifted?
in the connection management plan, 34 South High changed use from one to another. That was already approved. Steve Shakes at 27 South High, I've not heard anything from Building and Housing, whether he wants to keep moving along or not. We will have the connection management policy here tonight. I'll go through it real quick, and then the resolution will cover that and the policy for how we go about the next year with this project.
Thank you. Anyone from the, any residents want to ask? All right, seeing none. Well, he don't have leaves, but he has dental floss. Go figure that one out. Parks and Recreation, Keith Karowski. Hello,
Good evening.
good to see you.
Good to see everyone here as well. Let me just pull this bad boy up. Hold on one second. There we go. I'll start at the top of the report and kind of move down and just touch on a couple key parts. First and foremost, we're waiting on the playground equipment to get here to renovate or update the Horace Pippin Park. I was told that we would get that equipment in by the end of October, beginning of November, and today is actually now the beginning of the middle of November. So an email went out today to get an update on when that information or when that equipment will be here. So hopefully it'll be here soon. I do want that in the ground before the end of this year. If everything goes according to plan, it'll be right on budget as prescribed earlier this year. Another item I want to touch on is the work we're trying to do at John O'Green Park. Again, we know we didn't get the one grant we looked for, but I had a meeting with, there's several friends groups in the borough of Westchester. Well, there's one overarching friends group called the Friends of Westchester Parks and Recreation. I had a very productive meeting with them, actually from my car on my cell phone at my daughter's softball practice. And they're willing to divvy out a decent amount of money to help support this project, but they had some questions and concerns regarding maintenance and upkeep and things of that nature. And I think a lot of that is going to be answered when the pros plan gets adopted. There is definitely going to be a very key component, not just with anything new, but what we already own for upkeep and maintenance moving forward. Again, next year, and I'll get more into the pros plan later, will be really stage one of the implementation of the recommendations and procedures that come out of the pros plan. John O'Green Park, Horace Pippin Park, the work we're starting to lay, the foundations we're starting to lay for the groundwork at Hoops Park and the new playground there are all recommendations that were made as part of the pros plan. They kind of give us some headers, information to get grants rolling for that and get the projects kind of rolling. But there'll be a lot more information. Again, it's a healthy document. It's about 280 pages. So, and there is a high-level overview, an
Do we have to
executive
hire
summary.
somebody like we did with the university to read their 200, 300 pages? And
There is an executive summary. that goes
Very
along
good.
with it. With that being said, again, I'll touch base on the one big event that we had this past month, the Halloween parade. Honestly, I was there. I'm there for every single one that's been here for the last 21 years. Attendance was down. I would expect that. Anytime you're making a major change to any event or activity program within the borough, you're going to see some issues the first year. Do I think it was still well attended? Yeah, I do. Going up and down Gay Street, as always, was pretty well crowded. It was a little spotty on the Market Street side of things, and we didn't have the normal attendance numbers in the parade as far as our participants, mainly due to marching bands. Both East and Henderson had competitions they were in that day, so they could not commit. Why the university band didn't show up, I don't know. I spoke to several parents that they have kids in the university marching band, and we weren't told why they didn't want to participate. I think with a better notice next year, we'll be able to get our participation numbers back up, both from a perspective of folks in the parade and actually attending it. If you remember, we were still talking about special events and what is a special event and what time are we going to do this and when are we doing parking in September. And I didn't really get information out to the general public with all the details until after we had those details wrapped up here. So I think with a full year of planning and a full year notification, we'll get our numbers back up as normal. Do we play around with the times a little bit maybe next year? The biggest complaint I heard is, well, the one was, can't believe you playing this on a Birds game. There are 75 different places you can go to around the parade route to take in the Birds game. And everyone has the Birds game on their phone. They can watch it right there. So that's an illegitimate excuse. But the second was, you're taking the fun out of the Halloween parade by doing it in the day. The whole reason we're doing it in the day is because it's significantly safer to be able to watch a lot of children, especially many of them are toddlers and youngsters, running around the streets in front of moving vehicles, marching bands, things of that nature. So maybe next year we look at maybe doing it 3:30, 4 o'clock, where it's kind of at the twilight. We're still doing the light, but maybe you get a little bit of that. I don't want to speak for the Public Works Department or the Police Department, but I have spoken to both those departments at the parade and since. It is significantly less difficult to shut down our downtown on a Sunday afternoon than it is on a Wednesday night in rush hour traffic. I think, as with anything, the first year is going to be a struggle. The second year, things get better. And by the third year, it is what it is. Can we make improvements? Absolutely. And again, that'll start with us and getting the communication out there. Lastly, I do want to talk about a little more in depth about the pros plan. We have had the solicitor involved. There is a process, since this is a plan that's going to be adopted as an addendum to our comprehensive plan. And since we got money from the county, they've got to go first and do their work to make sure it meets the needs or the wants of the grant application and also fits with their protocols and procedures from the planning perspective. Then it's got to be a plan approved by our planning commission. We've already had the information sent out from our solicitor to our neighboring townships to let them know what's going on. It's going to be going before the planning commission, I believe, later this month, and it'll be coming before either this committee and or council in December. Again, I don't want to give you the full document unless it's approved by the county, because if they have to make changes, I don't want you guys to see something that's going to get made changes. Again, there is an executive summary, and I think that's very important because then you can take that along with the chapters and say, okay, here's something I'm specifically looking at or for, and then find that. I've read over the whole thing several times. It is a healthy document. It goes into very much detail about a lot of different things that we can do, but it also kind of goes back to the same points in several locations and says, like, we really need to focus back on this. And it kind of repeats those focus points throughout the program, or throughout the plan, excuse me. I really think it's going to be a benefit to the Parks and Rec Department and the borough as a whole moving forward. I think it'll help us better understand, again, this is a public document. There was a lot of public involvement in this. It's what our residents want. And I think that if we can implement this over the next 10 years, which is pretty much usually the normal standard lifespan for a plan of this nature, and then we update it in 10 years from now, and we figure out what the climate looks like then. Again, previously, this plan hasn't been updated since 1992. It's been discussed at several different levels over the last decade plus, but it never got to this level where we're actually doing it because, like I said, it's not cheap. It's an $80,000 plan, of which the county's paying for roughly half. Looking ahead real quick, I want everyone to come out on December 6th, Saturday, December 6th, for the 5th annual Santa at the Square, Marshall Square Park. That event came out of the tail ends of the pandemic, and what started off as a really small, cute little event is really grown. It's a really nice event. The way I like to say it is because we have now up to like 15 or 18, 20 different blow-up holiday themed things along with the gazebo lights. We blow up the holidays because we're literally blowing things up at the event, along with some food trucks and our sponsors. It's a showcase to thank our sponsors, to get them out there. It's a really nice event, and it's extremely pet friendly. Our Santa doesn't have an issue if you bring an iguana or a chicken or whatever you got. You can bring it out there and he'll sit on your lap and get your picture taken with it. Happy to answer any questions you have about anything else.
Team, anything?
The Halloween parade, I have high school students. The communication about when that event was really bad. The fact that the marching bands are booked solid in that time period, I think it's ridiculous that we're asking. It's an event where most of those marching band kids expect to be in that event, and they can't be because they have some previous thing that they have to be at, and we took no consideration when we moved that to Sunday. I get that it's easier for Public Works and for the police, but the event isn't for them. The event is for the public. It's for the community. It's for creating this sense of we're all in this together. It was short. I rushed from a church event to be there on time, not the birds, church, right? So I'm meeting, but I'm rushing over to be there. It lasted all of 10 minutes and then it was done. And none of the people who are normally in it and who are part of the community were in it. It was a big disappointment, and not, sure, the nighttime thing. I had a whole group of high school students show up at my house saying, I thought it was a 7 tonight. And I said, no, guys, you missed it. But, it's that, okay, they were probably not looking at the website, and I could have told them if they'd asked me 2 days ahead of time very easily, but we need to be building community, not just making things easier for the police and Public Works. Like, I love you guys, but that should not be the driving force behind the decision making.
I agree with you. And again, that's not. Again, we talked about this, and one of the reasons we stopped throwing candy years ago is because it was a danger, and that we got away from that to be safe and be proactive. I don't want us to be in the situation where we're doing this at a nightly event and something happens. Then they say, why didn't we do it in the daytime?
I hear that, But the Christmas parade happens at night
That's not a borough event though.
and it's not a borough event. But then hand this parade to somebody else. Don't take it. If your only focus is safety and making it easier for everybody, then don't do it anymore. Put it on to somebody else to do, because that event was, I was there. I was with I was not dressed up because I was coming from another event, but I was with a bunch of people who were dressed up and they were super excited because this is a thing that they go to every year. And they were like, wait, what? Where are the marching bands?
And
Where Sheila? Because like I know the high school kids. I'm like, no, they aren't here, and no, they aren't here, and
those three right there, not having the University Marching Band East and Henderson is the reason it was shorter. I mean, and their dance teams and their cheerleaders. That would put it right back. Now, I don't know if they have that every year. Again, we've never done the parade on a Sunday.
they have all those things every year.
On a Sunday?
Those kids, those marching band kids are gone. They were on Halloween night. They were out there. They were performing. They weren't at my house because they had stuff to be doing, because they are booked. So they come to the event that we used to have because it's on a weird night, then they can make that work. We need to coordinate with who we're working with. They're part of the community.
I agree.
And that really, really matters. And like, basically that's all that parade is the marching bands and a few, the trucks were cute, but
Sure.
there was definitely some floats that I enjoyed, but it was really brief.
It was
and
brief.
not,
No doubt about it.
it was not much of a celebration, and it was a disappointment.
Anyone else?
Thanks. I'm always the bad guy. I appreciate that. Yeah, she put her mom voice back on again. I love when she does that.
Keith, given that, sorry, Chairman, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Would you consider moving it back to a Wednesday night?
I'll leave that up as a
It
policy
sounds like it
decision
was
for-
working, and maybe it's just
I've
we
always
tried something
I've
different.
always done trying to do something to make things safer and
I
better.
totally get that.
And maybe we struck out here. But
Yeah.
At the same time, like, it's, again, I was the Grinch that stole Halloween when we took candy away from it. And I took a beating in the papers and everyone. It's like, fine. And that was supported because, again, we're keeping children from running out in front of floats. We are moving it for a safety reason first. And when we did the 225 parade last year, things went extremely well. And we thought, okay, well, we'll try it again this year with the Halloween parade. And we had talked about that and we did promote it. But again, I couldn't promote specifics because we didn't know what we were doing. So I absolutely agree. The numbers were down. I don't want to take Halloween away from anybody. I don't want to make things more difficult for anyone else. I wasn't aware that, again, I knew that the bands had competitions in the fall. I didn't realize they were Sundays. I was never part of the band. And anyone I spoke to, I didn't know they were on Sundays. That's what I was informed that why they didn't come.
Yeah, we at least need the marching bands back.
I want the marching
So
bands.
start talking to them now about what their schedule looks like next year.
I was saying as part of this, like our communications will be going out literally January 1st or the first week in January with our list of events for 2026. Things can change. If something happens with any one of our events, they can change, but we'll have that more set in stone moving ahead.
Having Henderson Marching Band be a part of the Westchester Halloween parade, I mean, that should be number one. I'm sorry. And like, why Westchester didn't show up? I don't know. Henderson was the one that dressed up back in the day that was only Henderson, and they're not there is really sad. And
Well, no, I am asking, I don't know. I was told that both East and Henderson were at a competition. And that was my understanding. Like I said, we had the Henderson football team there with us, but they were there, and I don't know how that competition works. The way I understood it was there's levels of competition, and if you do well in those competitions, you advance, and if you don't, you don't. So I don't know, are they always on weekends?
You're doing a pretty good job dancing. So what I want you to slow down a little bit. I think this committee would agree that we should probably have the Recreation Commission consider moving the Halloween parade back to Wednesday night or Thursday night, whatever it is.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night. Now, to your point, I was there that year when the child ran under the fire truck going after the candy.
Mhm.
And it was a sheer panic because the people in the fire truck didn't see it.
Never saw it.
Thank God there was people sitting on the curb to grab that little kid. So, but do you guys agree that we should probably ask the Recreation Commission to consider moving it back? That's a 3-0 on that one.
3-0?
Okay. The, anything else for? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Kraus.
You got it?
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much. All right. Old business, approve the September and October 2025 meeting minutes. You guys have any issues with them? Okay. New business, motion to approve resolution for sewer connection capacity policy with Goose Creek wastewater treatment, restricted flow areas, and review and approve a resolution.
Okay, Sean Mitchell, wastewater director. Real quick, I'll go over the connection management policy. And then we'll do the resolution real quick. The policy, basically, both of them are going to be for a 1-year period. As long as once phase one gets done, we can upgrade and or reduce the amount or even upgrade the amount of EDUs we're going to do. The policy is for the Goose Creek restricted collection area. Per the Connection Management Plan, CMP, or the Corrective Action Plan, the CAP, approved by the DEP, we are permitted, we're permitted to, right, we are permitted to allow up to 20 equivalent dwelling units, EDUs, for the next year in that area. We do have a map. It is a general area of where it is. If a resident asks, we will give them the map. It could shrink each time we do something with Maple Alley, Fosnot Alley, and that area. With that, the allocations, capacity reservations will be for only the parcels in the borough. The total capacity, again, is 20 EDUs. The owner of the eligible parcels may request reservations of up to a total of 3. We are not allowing over 3. That way, a big building can't come in and ask for 18, and then we're stuck back to if a business person comes in to change, we're back to square one. So the largest amount will be 3 EDUs per parcel for that time period. The number of EDUs shall be requested by the pending applicant, no more than 3. Sorry, I jumped back to where I was. Shall be limited to 1. The reservation will be requested in writing by postage paid mail, signed with it. Return application. The tap fees will be calculated by the borough. It'll be myself and Pannoni that will be taking all the, making sure that the applications are complete. Incomplete applications will be returned to the owners. Complete request reservations of the capacity and ordinance of the policy will be answered in as they are received and going down. We will keep track of that. The reservation for the capacity shall be in effect for a period of 1 year from the reservation date. In order to extend the reservation beyond 1 date or 1 year of the reservation date, the owner must begin paying sewer rental rates. That way, they're not just going to say, we're going to get to it, we're going to get to it. They have to pay the minimum sewer fee for that. If they don't pay in the timely manner, then we will automatically cancel the reservation. In the event of a cancellation, the owner will not get their tap fee back. If they request to relinquish it, they will get their tap fee back. That's basically it in a nutshell for the policy. So we kind of have it worked. After Phase 1 is completed. And then we look at 410 South High, we could get an extra amount, depending on how that goes and which way it goes.
How about Rubenstein's?
This is all for Rubenstein.
Oh, it's all for
This is for
Rubenstein's.
250 East Market, yes.
Got it. Okay, good. So now we
But
understand
this is
that.
part of their sewage planning facility module. So that's that. Once this gets put in, they can connect. Phase 2 will be completed, then more would be able to shift in. If more, like across the street or any other big developments would come online, Phase 3 would have to go into effect.
So just a question on, we do Rubenstein's, right? The pipe's in phase 2 and phase 3 or whatever. If somebody decides they want to build on Knox, that 7-story, right here, the sizes of the pipe need to be enlarged again? Because it's a whole lot more capacity of a 7-story apartment building.
No, because that Phase 3 would be a pump station that would actually, it's right now would be across from 250 East Market Street in the next to the creek in that little parking lot. It would go up Matlack, up Market Street, Railroad Alley into Matlack and down that way. So it would totally bypass that run. Right. Right. Yeah, that's why that would be Phase 3, where that's a totally different animal. So then the resolution basically goes through of what the policy states. It's for the 1 year. It will be looked at next year with a possible larger number until Phase 2 is done, and then we can readjust it from there.
Mr. Metric, that's a 3-0 for that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Appreciate it. B, discuss special event application procedures. Staff will review, approve, and a communication process. Assistant Borough Manager, Ms. Ramsey Reiner.
This is definitely a team effort. Keith and I plan weekly 1-hour meetings that turn into like 4-hour meetings. But since we talk a lot about special events, I felt like it was really important at this point in time to clarify our internal procedures and reviews and kind of categorize everything so that we have clarity for both the public and then internally, so that council has an easier time reviewing and understanding applications that come in. So our intention is to kind of divvy up events into different categories. We'll talk about how we're going to review them, and I promise not to go on and on and on. And then this will go into our SmartGov system so that we're meeting internally with, I think it's me, Keith. Keith will be the like czar of all special events. He's very excited. Public Works, Police, we have Fire, EMS. Sometimes there's PennDOT involved. So we're collaborating with all of them to roll this out internally on the SmartGov system as well. With this also, I know I've talked a lot about, and Aaron has talked about, and I think Public Works, the Chapter 90A cafe permit situation and the Gay Street closure. When we do that ordinance change, we're also talking about special events, which is Chapter 91, which I think is like carnivals and other things. So this will align with that as well. And then this will also fold into your policies that we've created. So just without getting too into the weeds, Bill, if you wouldn't mind going to page 1. Okay, so we've determined that in order to standardize this, there are 5 kind of standard types of events, and then the last one is the other miscellaneous. So the first one would be the standard Central Business District Parade. The intention here is that we will have a set route that is consistent so that we can plan infrastructure, we can consistently know the staffing needs and requirements, the posting requests and all of that. So that would be a short-term multiple block closure with a specified predetermined route. We will have maps that we will provide online for applicants to use in their middles. And then that is the location. So it's the standard. We base this off of the Halloween parade, and all the other parades, I think, are pretty similar except Christmas parade. And then there are what we have child permits. So this would also, if you are applying for this, you would then do a posting request for parking within here. If there are dumpsters required, you would attach that here as well. So that would also allow for all of us internally to review and approve those and assign fees at the same time. And then for this, it would be and we will implement this, incorporate the revenue sharing stipulations in here, but this type of event would have a possible garage fee revenue sharing situation, and that would have approval required by council. So that would be if they adhere to all of the requirements in the policy that we did last month. This would require a 50% deposit due at the time of approval. And then we would generate a final invoice for the remainder of charges immediately after event. And that would also incorporate whether or not there was the garage sharing revenue. So that's first one. Any questions on that? No. Okay. Then there's the 5K/walk run, and that's a temporary moving event with short-term temporary block closures. Keith provided a map for that as well, and there's a typical route that people race for that. This might have posting requests, but typically these are pretty in and out because they're kind of roving events. And for this event, the full payment would be due at the time of approval because we'd be able to estimate all of the information and staffing. Then there is the Central Business District Marketplace/Festival. So that's the restaurant festival, of course, Kindle Market, chili cook-off, all of those events. And that's a large event with multiple vendors that takes place within the footprint of the Central Business District. We would provide the same map that's standardized. I know sometimes chili cook-off is smaller or larger, but they can mark that on the map. This would also have the child permits of postings and dumpsters. And for this, the payment would again have a possible garage revenue sharing, 50% deposit due at time of approval, and then we would generate the final invoice for the remainder of charges after the event. Then there is the single block closure. That's for block parties, standalone sidewalk events like the pizza eating contest, filming in town. And that's a small temporary event, no larger than 1 or 2 blocks. We would provide the map, and then they would fill in the specific locations. Depending on that, there would be different child permits, and that would again be full payment due at time of approval. Public park events, that would be Turk's Head Festival or movie nights. So these, big or small, these are events that take place within a borough-owned park's footprint. We would provide maps for each park. These could have an assortment of different child permits, and this would require full payment at time of approval. And then the last one is the other/miscellaneous, and that would be the Christmas parade, which has a very different footprint. Lafayette's Walk, something like that, that's very specific. This one could have a garage revenue sharing. It would have 50% due at the time of approval and a final invoice after. But this one, I have in the flow chart at the very end, which we'll get to. Council would approve this. We would not continue reviewing this until council had a chance to approve whether you were interested in having this event. So this is a little bit different because it's kind of an outlier. Okay. Yes.
Porch Fest protests and Veterans Day.
Mhm.
Where do those go?
So Porch Fest would be other/miscellaneous because it is not in the Central Business District. It is an outlier, doesn't have garage revenue. So that would be other/miscellaneous. And the Veterans Parade, I think you could use we could use a template of the parade, but it would still be other because it would be I think it's a different route, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, can we say to the Veterans Day people, follow the Halloween? Yeah,
Yeah, that is I think that is the intention. We talk a lot about infrastructure. This would help us build around that, annually.
yeah. No, I just,
Yeah. Yes.
I don't want to say, because what I'm hearing is everything fits into other, but Christmas parade, according to the mayor, was its own unique thing, but you
Yes.
have that in other, and like, this is too many others.
I think sometimes you will have others, but again, that's when it comes to council for you guys to decide, is this something that we want to facilitate? But no, you can say Veterans Parade, and no, we want you to walk this route. I don't know how that route is planned, so I don't, but
Starts at the VFW. Oh, Henderson. Okay. All right.
yeah. So, I mean, that might be an other, but the standard as we craft the special event ordinance could be that no, moving forward, parades are here. Like that is what we do and that is the standard. And if you really want something else, you're going to have to make a really good case for it.
The surprise attack, 8,000 people in the downtown. She's not up there.
So,
That's the run for her. And
oh,
that came as a total shock to everybody. No, it was it was a secret, except for the people that were involved in the planning of it. And the businesses and the Sixth Ward. You'd be surprised how many, especially the guy that cuts hair. He gets pretty nasty. He cut my hair today and it's lopsided. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. No, but he was pretty upset.
yeah.
Yeah, because all of a sudden everything shut down.
Yeah.
That was a mistake, I understand.
Yeah.
But I see 5Ks and they're not using the loop that's up there. Somehow they got granted a different loop.
I think, well,
To
no,
Phil's point,
Stop that.
no,
we can't have,
you said it would, so again, that's kind of why we're solidifying all this and clarifying this right now. But I think from what you said, because it was larger and they had multiple vendors, it should have been a central business district marketplace slash festival. That's how it should have been accommodated.
say 5K.
That's okay.
Yeah, but well,
But it's not a temporary moving event with short-term temporary block closures. It's going to be a large event with multiple vendors that takes place within that. They're going to have a 5K in it.
it's on our radar.
Yeah,
It's on our radar now.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
but-
important. And every agency checks the box.
Yep.
And if there's a fee, like EMF,
yep. 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 Right. Yeah. Mhm.
Fire, EMS, Public Works, parking.
Yes. So if you go to the next slide, Bill, the next slide is the review groups. And I have an email out to all of these groups because we're trying to standardize and understand if this is the radius of the event, how many staff members do you need? For what time? Do you need to be there for setup? Do you need to be there for cleanup? Do you need to be there for the event? How does it work? And what are your fees associated with that? Because we want to standardize that and we want to let an applicant know at the time of approval. I think there's some internal things we have to figure out, should EMS, because if they're on this review group internally in SmartGov, is the applicant paying us and then are we paying them or how, because I think right now they pay them. But these
Ramsey,
are, yes,
Make it as seamless as possible.
Yes.
They pay us and we cut them a check.
yes,
Because that way we don't know whether they're getting paid.
right.
For example, if they pick you up at your house, it's $1,800 to go from my house, which is really expensive. Uber's not that much. So I get sick, I'm going Uber to the hospital. It's only $32, but it's $1,800 through the ambulance. They'll get $200 from the insurance company.
Mhm.
They're eating $1,600.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's important that if we're running it, they got to pay us and then we'll divvy it out, I think. What do you got? And keep it as seamless as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
yeah.
Yeah. So, were you going to say something? Oh, I'll pick you up. So these are the proposed review groups, but again, our goal is to have, so if these are all the review groups, we want the fees standardized as much as possible. We understand that things pop up. One of the things that I keep saying, and I don't know how to say this like politically correctly, but I don't want to get in trouble. I think that one of the goals here is that we also don't want to like surprise anyone with fees. So I don't want it, I think none of us want it to be that somebody looks at an event and says, well, this one seems like it might have more of a political impact, so we're going to do this. I think the understanding should be like, we're preparing for whatever the most appropriate emergency case scenario is across the board so that people can plan for those fees, because I know police have drones or they're snipers. I don't know, whatever you can have. And that, I don't know if that's fair to say, your 5K is for whatever, and we're going to have people on the roof, you know? So I think we need to standardize it in a way that everyone can prepare for those fees. And then some of those fees might just be like, the cops have those here that day as part of the regular staffing. And again, I'm speaking not as an officer. So that's the review groups. The last page just shows what the timeline will look like. And again, Keith is our review czar. So could you go one more page, Bill? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. These are the maps. These are just examples of maps. I think we're going to work with Nick and Mikey on getting some really good ones, but that is the map that Annalise made for Turk's Head, which was pretty nice, but we'll standardize this so that we understand what the footprint is at the get-go. And then the proposed timeline, Keith will receive an application in SmartGov and he's going to review it for completeness. And as long as it's a standardized event, not an other/miscellaneous, he will then add us as workflows internally, the different departments, and make sure that by the time it goes to council, we have all reviewed it, we have added our fees, we have approved it or worked out the internal concerns between us and the applicant. So then you will all review and you'll see the notification of the date, time, and location. You will discuss whether you approve the revenue sharing and you will see the associated fees. And I think on our invoice, it will say, you know, these are the estimated fees, but there might be additional fees incurred by the time the event's finished. Once council reviews and approves it, then the applicant will be notified and the permit will be issued. And we will bill full amount, 50% of the amount, whatever that amount is. And then we will give our external notifications. So I think one of the ideas that we discussed is having an events tab, not necessarily that we're sponsoring these events, but just notifying people that they're taking place when, where, so that they can prepare for shutdown. Let Downtown Westchester know, let the chamber know, PennDOT, SEPTA, all of those people. And then once the event's complete, we will update the fees if there's any additional fees, and we will send the final bill, and then Keith will close the application in SmartGov. And then we will all move on with our lives.
Hey, Mike.
I just want to make sure that as you get this clarified, and I want to see you guys encouraging as many events to fit within, you know, conform to one of these systems. Make it clear to everybody when they come, like, you conform to this system, you're going to have a lot easier time. You don't have to come and, you know, do a song and dance. You'll get approved and we can just be quiet about it and get it done. But regardless, whether we're talking about it endlessly or we never see it, that communication with the affected areas is like super important. So it sounds like you already are thinking like that, but I just want to say that out loud again.
Yeah, I think we've realized that there's a lot of resources that we have available to communicate this to. So I think we're going to collaborate a lot more. Not that you weren't doing a good job. I think, you know, but I think
it's not, I'm not insulting anybody.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, like, those two parts are like conformity as much as possible to the system. We don't have the system. So like we haven't been asking for conformity, but don't say, like, if the Veterans Day people don't care if they start in a different location,
right,
then just be like, hey guys, move over here. Like it's a good thing and we'll have it. It'll be easier and you don't have to do anything. And it's great.
Yeah.
And if they're like, no, 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 this is really meaningful, then fine. Then they have to do a song and dance and they have to spend more time. They have to come before everybody. It's going to take longer.
Yes.
Just like make that really clear. And then the communication, I live on the 5K run loop and I don't get notified ever. And I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I just drive a little bit different when I notice a bunch of people running.
Yeah.
But maybe there should be a system in place to communicate because like it is odd. I can't go to the
Yeah.
grocery store for a few hours.
Yeah.
But
And I've noticed, just as you mentioned that, like driving through Kennett this weekend, or I think it was last weekend, they have the little signs, we can repurpose all the election signs and say like, hey, 5K coming through. And that can be one of the requirements that we have for this. Yeah. 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 You just go where your phone says. You just reroute.
You guys go with the formation of
I,
it.
I really like what you put together here. I know a lot of thought went into it, and it's organized and it's pretty. It's color coded. I'm sure you're going to iterate on it, continue, but I think it's a good first
Yeah.
step, and I think we definitely need something like this. And I do kind of wonder whether or not some of the items are in the right categories. But you're gonna probably refine this over and over again as you start to work through it.
Yeah, I've been very lucky, Keith and Maliki and Aaron and I have been meeting to discuss this. And I just forgot the place. I want to say it's in North Carolina. Raleigh, is that North Carolina? Is that the capital? I don't know. They had a really, really good guide. I think that's something we should aspire to, but I think in the meantime, if we start clarifying and like building kind of, little categories, theirs is like tiers and different ways that you can clarify. This was second pass on it, but I think the more we go with this, the better we can be. So the goal is to have the ordinance be sort of loose with the categorization so that we can do that with policy. So we don't have to rewrite an ordinance every time we change something.
I like the idea. It works very well. January and February, we should probably notify the big stakeholders because we're very slow those months.
Mhm.
And we could actually, I think there's 6 or 7, I think there's five big events, the Christmas parade, the Halloween parade, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And we notify them early on with a anticipated budget. So we should pretty much know what the anticipated budget is because we can calculate that now. So
Yeah.
and then that way there we have a good footing moving into, the most important time in January 26th is the 17th of March. So we have to allow for the pub crawl,
Oh, nice.
which is very, very important in my neighborhood. So put that on the agenda.
We'll put that on there.
Yeah.
I know Keith has a really good relationship with all the applicants, so I'm sure after we complete this, we can roll it out with them also.
Thank you very much. We all loved it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Any public input? Laura, come on. You took Daryl's job. Okay, all right. Daryl? Okay, Daryl's okay too. All right, any other business? No. A meeting's adjourned at 8:32.